Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Wedding Season 1, Episode 7. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. This is actually a really sad episode in many different regards, especially with the whole Katie stuff. I think it's such an interesting trajectory, because obviously she seems kind of wild and kind of I think the show's done a really good job of obviously giving you a better picture and understanding of Katie over these past two episodes. Because obviously you're like, right, she's got mixed up in something, and you never see her broken down the way she has been for these past two episodes. This episode and last episode, we haven't seen her fully vulnerable, because like the entire time it just seems like, oh man, she's selfish, she's manipulative, words that Stefan uses. But now it's like you go like, right, understanding everything that's motivated her thus far, and understanding that was revenge. Her father was murdered in front of her. She had to be there holding his hands, trying to keep him from dying and having him die. Like, that's of course going to do a lot to you as a 15-year-old, and you're going to want revenge. And this episode, we get more context to the voicemail she left Stefan. Obviously, it didn't mean as much to him out of context, but it's like, right, now because it's almost that thing of, right, having context is easy for us to be like, oh, so that's what that was about. But out of context, you're like, well, I could see how you wouldn't know, like, there was something else to that. But even Stefan eventually was like, yeah, what made you decide to leave that voicemail? What was that all about? You know? And it's because she was thinking about killing Papa, Delaney, because I figured it out of anyone, because he's the one that ran things. Because Hugo, I mean, I said it at the time, I figured it was more so about like getting exact revenge of like, oh, on this wedding day, killing Papa Delaney just for the poetic like justice of her father dying on his wedding day. I thought that's what that was going to be kind of about, but a child having to mourn their dead father type of thing. But it's like she would have never gone after Hugo anyway, because Papa Delaney, Robert's the one that was always in control of everything. He's the one, the head of the family and everything. So any decisions or choices would have been through him regardless. So, but she was thinking about it, and she was like, right, I can't do this, because she's like, I know if I do this, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But I have some obligation, because I've come this far, and it's all been for the sake of getting revenge for my father. Do I stop after everything I've done so far? And she's like, if you were here, I know you'd tell me not to do it. You would be able to talk me down, because you bring out the best in me. You make me a better person. And then as the episode progressed, we eventually get the full context of the scene that Papa Delaney came in, and he was like, oh, because your father's not here. How old were you when you lost your father? 15. Well, what would it mean to you if I walked you down the aisle? Like, for her, that cuts even deeper. It's like, you're the reason why I don't have my father. Him saying that, like, because she was so on the fence, she was so conflicted about it. Now it was like no, I want you dead. You need to suffer. So she went through with it when she was initially so. And maybe and that's the sad thing, if Stefan had probably answered that phone when she called, I mean, obviously he was ignoring her call because he wanted nothing to do with her, just because of the roller coaster of their relationship. Obviously, we learned in episode 5, like, he cut off ties with her, and the last time he heard from her was like the night before her wedding. And now it's like, yeah, who knows if he had actually answered that phone, how different all of this could have been, how different this would have been. I mean, the cards were stacked against her from the very beginning, but we'll get to that in a second. But obviously they're heading to this wedding. It's between Wyatt and it's Mitzi. Wyatt and Mitzi's marriage, which it is purely an arranged thing, because the way Mitzi told her, she's like, oh yeah, I already have a girlfriend, Gloria, but my dad says if I do this, he'll buy me a record label. So she's kind of going with the flow of it. But I do also love that, tying into the whole aspect of, obviously, now realizing, like, right, she knows what she's done and what she attempted to do, and having not told Stefan everything, now it is a situation of, like, the entire episode, Katie, who's usually so in control of things, it's super off her game, and Stefan knows, like, something's up, you know? And at multiple times throughout the episode, you can tell Katie wants to tell him the truth, but she's scared. She's like, right, you're the one person who's believed in me this entire time, and when you find out the truth about me, how's that going to change things? Because it's like, regardless of whether or not she's fully culpable for killing Papa Delaney, she was still going to. That was the point. I mean, even later on, it's like, right, you helped, your dose was still in there. Granted, someone just got to it before you did. She says later on, it's like, she had no intent, she had no issues with Hugo or Mary. In fact, she liked Mary. So But all of this is their attempt to get closer to Metz so that they can end up blackmailing her, because they end up finding it. Well, first and foremost, his buddies break into her place, which, there were some reservations, but it's like, no, Stefan would do this for us. But it's like, yeah, but we'd never be in a position where Stefan would have to break into a police officer's flat for our sake. But I love that when they break in there, lo and behold, who's already there? It's Donahue, which the door was locked. So I'm curious, did he lock does he have like a spare key to her place or something like that, considering like they're partners, but they were also shacking up? Or did he just break it? I don't know. Like, the door was locked again, so it could have been like, oh, he could have picked the lock and then locked it again, but I don't know, maybe he just has a spare key, but he was there getting drunk. Who knows if he says he's not a DI anymore, so I think he straight up got fired, because it's like, yeah, this is technically the third time a suspect got away from you, because Stefan the first time, then Met, and then Stefan and Katie. So it's like, yeah, he can't be a cop anymore. And I love that Suji's over there just like running her mouth about everything. It's like, no, I can tell him everything. He's on our side, right? You are on. It's like, I love how you didn't even confirm that before you told everything. But Donahue's just kind of wallowing in his self-pity right now. So for him, it is a situation of, yeah, he ended up, I don't know if he meant to tell, because he's like, oh, everyone has a weakness. And I feel like there's a double meaning to that, because I feel like he intentionally told them what they needed to use against Metz, because he's kind of in a position where he lost everything. I think there's a combination of that. Plus, I think he almost talks about, like, it's almost like referring to Metz as kind of his weakness. So he just wishes them good luck and bounces. So now they know, okay, sesame oil will, like, she has an allergic reaction to that. So we could use that. So I love during the reception and everything, they ended up, Jackson ended up basically taking all the porn. Like, for one, why do you have so much porn saved? Who saves porn? That's so weird. I feel like that, I mean, maybe I'm the minority in that. I feel like saving porn is a weird thing. Like, why would you have, like, tons and tons of porn, like, ready to go like that? I mean, like, finding videos and then, like, sending it like that. But it's like, the way they were talking about it, it's like, no, this is, oh my God, are we going to actually use your personal stash of porn to save the day? That's why I was like, that's so weird that you had, like, they were just sending porn after porn after porn. So I'm like, that's so weird you had a stockpile like that. So that gave them the opportunity to sneak in, steal Met's EpiPen, and sprinkle some sesame oil on her food. And now they got 5 minutes before, like, her throat completely closes up. So they get her to admit what she did. So now we find out, right, the Delaney's, did she ever actually explain? Maybe she did, and I'm blanking on it. I don't know. I don't think she probably did. I don't remember now. But her explaining what the Delaney's did to get on the Block's bad side, I think it's just the way they handled business. It's just like the Blocks wanted nothing to do with them anymore. So, 'cause I think they probably found out that the Delaney's were kind of like still in business or doing something on their own they shouldn't have been. And so the Block was like, yeah, you're just, you're kind of no longer necessary. So Metz was sent in to clean the things up, but she did a better, deeper dive on Katie than the Delaney's did. So she found out about who Katie really is. Her dad figured that this whole thing was a revenge plot, so they needed a fall guy. So that's why she made sure to poison everyone's glasses except for Katie, because it's like, right, when 8 people drop dead like that, a whole bunch of people are going to focus on that one person that survived. So yeah, like, Katie was designed to be the fall guy. She's the perfect fall guy, because if her history ever came up, they'd be like, oh, that's why she killed them, because they were responsible for, like, so she made the perfect fall person for the whole situation. So they were trying to clean house, get rid of the Delaney's, and that was so in totality, is that always been her job? Because we still don't know how she got mixed up with the Block. But I guess at the end of the day, that's kind of not important. What's just to know is, like, right, she's a part of it. And I mean, come on, like, she's an even worse person, because it's like, right, she killed 8 people, attempted to kill 9. Well, to be fair, she's also responsible for she's a part of the reason why Uncle Fred is dead too. So it's like, yeah, there's like 9 bodies. Stefan would have been 10 that they would have she would have had been, responsible for. Because the sad thing is, Katie's doing all this trying to get back the ownership of the building that her father owned that Delaney's now had hold of. Well, just to spite her, after everything came out, which we'll turn around in a second, but with everything that happened between her and Stefan, just to stick the knife in and twist a little deeper, saying that, hey, the fact is that building is no longer, we screwed everything up, so that when it was all said and done, Uncle Fred was going to get all the rights to it, but then we killed him because that was part of the deal. He ended up getting the house, and we promised to give him a lot of the Delaney stuff in his name, but then we killed him after using him, and now that building of your father's is being used as a wedding gift, as kind of a gift between Wyatt and Mitzi's wedding, and that's right, you've kind of done all this for nothing. Your dad's building this pub that means so much to you. That's kind of the one thing of your father's you're trying to take back and hold grasp of. Yeah, it's kind of a wedding gift. It's basically a toaster between these two families. And I mean, once again, that's after she got gutted by the fact is that Metz is oh yeah, she hasn't told you the truth, has she? That she tried to kill Papa Delaney. And it's what? No, she didn't. It's yeah, check the autopsy. He was double dosed. It's that's where Metz was that's where I got the idea from. I found out about her trying to kill Papa Delaney like that, so I figured it'd be perfect. She probably has the evidence on her to prove that, oh, it's you poisoned everyone, you're poisoning Papa Delaney. So now, when you get found with the evidence on you, you're doubly screwed. Probably weren't expecting her to pull a runner and get away like she did, but. In that moment, they were on top of the world, especially sad because they had that moment together in the hotel room not the hotel room, but the room they were in together, where he had opened up about the fact is that, ever since his mom died and he got put in the foster system, he wanted some stability. He never wanted the fear of always being in a grind of finding, being put into a new home, having no stability. But he studied super hard, got into a good college, met his group of friends. But there's also a part of him that misses that chaos. He thinks that's why he likes being around Katie as well. So, it's yeah, you are kind of Katie. She's yeah, when I'm not doing all this, I'd like to pretend, I at least believe I'm somewhat normal. But it's right, you make me feel at home. And I think that means a lot hearing that from him, because I think that's also why Katie connected so much with Stefan too, because she felt that same thing of right, we're people who were so lost, who lost a part of ourselves when our respective parent died, that when someone so important, intrinsic to us die, and we kind of feel that void has been an open wound for so long, but we found we're both trying to find our ways to fill it, and we found each other along the way. It's beautiful and sad and tragic, but there is beauty in that too. And so it's sad for things that kind of come down to this, because for Stefan, it's right, you told me you didn't do it. She's I know, you asked me if I poisoned everyone. I didn't. Yeah, I might try to kill Papa Delaney, but it's he killed my father, Stefan. And for him, it's but you're a murderer. It's yeah, dude, but come on, I know you're not taking Metz's side, but it's come on, the lady who's got 8 to 9 bodies on her, conscious, God knows how many other people she's killed for the block, And but for Stefan, it's right, he believed in her so much. He did so much for her. He sacrificed so much for her because he believed her. And it's right, you didn't even tell me the truth. And it's if she had, would this situation be any different? I mean, it sucks that you had to learn the truth from Metz, but would that have really changed anything? You'd still be where we are. We'd still be having a conversation of, yeah, she's just as culpable for Papa Delaney's death, not the other 7 deaths, but yeah, she still went ahead with poisoning him, and now realizing oh, that's what the voicemail was all about. Hell, even when it was all over, he went back to play. He's now I feel so stupid. I thought that was her telling me she couldn't go through with the wedding. I should come to her, because even she'd asked why did you show up? And he's because you asked me to. And you hear her kind of sob a little bit there, because it's the more she really, it feels bad about I dragged you into this, and also remembering right, I was trying to get you to pull me back from the edge, but I went full, she went full Assassin's Creed and took I was about to say, it's not a apt metaphor I was about to make. I was oh, she pulled a full Assassin's Creed, took a leap of faith. It's no, if anything, He's the one that took the leap of faith from the very, like in the first episode. But either way, it is kind of sad that it's come down to that. And Katie, if she can't have anything else, she can't have Stefan, at least she can fall back on. It's not even probably, I don't even know if it's, well, she got the recording of Metz confessing to what she did, but who knows how that's even going to play out now for Katie. Katie at least has that evidence, but, you know, her and Stefan are in the spot they're in, so she's walking around gutted, broken heart. She sees Mitzi, she grabs Mitzi, tries to get the suitcase that probably has, like, the rights and stuff to her father's pub. And I love that she's dragging her along. She's like, oh, that dress is ugly or whatever. She's like, don't say that. You don't mean that. And then kind of gets dragged into the car. Now Katie's kidnapping her, and because she's so heartbroken, she's so desperate. And it all kind of comes to an end next episode. I have no idea how this will ultimately play out, because I don't think anything is going to go in Katie's favor. Because regardless of it all, it's like, can Stefan move past the fact is that she did, like, yeah, it's hard because it's like you double dose Papa Delaney, but it's also like, right, someone else was going to do it anyway, but it still doesn't change the fact is, it's not only that she was going to do it, she in fact did it. So even if Metz hadn't poisoned everyone, she still would have been responsible for killing Papa Delaney, and she didn't tell Stefan the truth. But it's like, ugh, it's all forms of complicated, because like I said, in the end, if she had told him the truth, would it have changed anything? I don't know, but it's still the thing of, you know, I think Stefan can still understand of like, right, this is all a byproduct of your father was murdered and you just wanted revenge. I think that's something he can understand. Whether he can fully get behind, you know, what she did, who knows? We'll ultimately have to wait and see how this all wraps up, how this all comes to an end. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.